Well, welcome everyone. If you're just joining us now and you didn't hear my previous message, you're welcome to introduce yourself in the chat. We're starting shortly. Right, we're on time now, so we're going to start. So thank you to everyone for joining the fifth in the Foodpreneurs Collective webinar series. And today's edition is the Foodpreneurs Collective KSA Market Entry webinar. I'd like to start by explaining why we chose this topic for our next webinar. So back in 2024, Jamal and I were asked to run the startup program at Saudi Food Show. And when we were there, we saw the opportunity for overseas brands to enter the market. But as we found out when we were there, it's not as straightforward as you might think, and understanding the market is key. We were then very excited when we heard Shahina, who I'm going to introduce properly in a minute, reached out to us to say she was setting up her business in Saudi to exactly help brands with this. Jamal and I have known Shahina from the UK, and we first met about over 5 years ago now. So we've now partnered up with her to co-host this free webinar for you this evening. Before we get started, this is a safe space to discuss entering the Saudi market. Obviously, with current things going on in this region at the moment, no politics allowed on this call. If anyone posts anything inappropriate, their comments will be deleted and they'll be removed from the call. If you are going to comment in the chat or ask questions, please be mindful about what you write. So thank you. So following the success of more than 20 events in the UAE so far, we're pleased to confirm today's webinar focused on entering the Saudi market. As I said, this is our fifth webinar following our previous ones, which have been CPG, hospitality, and sort of ag tech, food tech, security focused. Through today's event, we're particularly keen to connect with food and beverage founders, CPG brands, hospitality operators, ecosystem builders, investors, and industry professionals who are interested in the Saudi market. Also, if you're impressed with today's webinar and want help with your events, please contact us about helping us to collaborate on more webinars in this series or helping us with your events. A little bit about me, or both of us hosting this evening. I'm the founder and basically a food and beverage community builder of the Foodpreneurs Collective. I'm also the lead ambassador for Food Hack Dubai. I've got over 15 years of food and beverage marketing expertise from corporates like PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, and AB World Foods. Then after that, I have over 10 years consulting experience in marketing strategy, whilst also co-hosting startup pitch events. And I'm also an ambassador for Forward Fooding. And obviously, as I mentioned, I run the Foodpreneurs Collective, which is a community as well as running these events as well. You can connect with me for Dubai Food and Beverage Networking, Market Access, and Channel Partners. Now I'll go on to introduce my co-producer for this evening, so Jamal Maxi. He's the head of events and startup scout at Pitchlands. He's ex-mentor of Techstars of KSA, Ignite UAE, LBS VC graduate, and he's coached over 600 food and ag tech startups. And he's also a startup scout for various companies. He's based works a lot between Berlin and Dubai with me here as event strategist, connecting UAE food and beverage founders to investors and partners via Pitch Lounge pitch events. He's open as well for UAE and Germany bridge building, event marketing, and startup ecosystem roles to build upon his existing market entry advisory service, pitch coaching, and investor intros he offers to global startups. And you should find our details in the chat. Now I'd like to introduce Shahina. So her name is Shahina Rasool, co-founder of Abia and Aroma, founder of Food Souk, FMCG market entry expert, Halal FMCG marketplace builder, consultant and entrepreneur. She's the co-founder of Abia and Aroma, a Saudi-based food and beverage and FMCG consultancy focused on helping brands build, grow, and enter the Saudi market through strategic market entry, localization, distribution, and operational support. She's also the founder of Food Souk, a halal-focused marketplace and ecosystem designed to support the global halal food industry through B2C marketplace solutions, B2B trade facilitation, and community building for halal-friendly food and beverage businesses. With extensive experience across the UK-Saudi business landscape, She advises startups and established FMCG brands on market expansion, strategic partnerships, and sustainable growth within the food, beverage, and halal consumer sectors. Through her consulting and entrepreneurial work, Shahina is committed to building stronger halal FMCG ecosystems while helping international and regional brands unlock opportunities across Saudi Arabia and beyond. And you should find her details in the chat. Now, a bit about how you want to connect with us and in our network. We have a newsletter, which is part of the Pitch Lounge section of this. And we have various other community groups. We have several on LinkedIn, which all the details are being pasted in the chat now. I also have a WhatsApp group, which is for UAE, but we have a subgroup for Saudi. So if anyone's interested in staying connected with people interested in the Saudi market, some of them are already in the Saudi market, some of them are wanting to enter the Saudi market, please join the WhatsApp group, and then you can add yourself into the Saudi group. I think we've got over 200 people already in that group so far. You can see all the other ways you can keep connected with us as well here. So that's event pages. You can follow the YouTube channel if you want to catch up on this or any of the past webinars that we've run recently. Next, just want to talk about one of our community partners, the iGrow News community links. These are being pasted into the chat now. We won't cover all that now because this is not an AgTech focused event. But if anyone's interested in anything to do the AgTech food security space, this is for you. Now onto the event schedule for this evening. I'm just doing the welcomes and introductions. I'll introduce our panel as well in a minute. Then we're going to have a short introduction on the Saudi market by Shahina. We're then going to have the fireside chat with the panel, which I'm going to be moderating. After that, opportunity for questions from the audience. So if anyone's got a question, you can share it in the chat and I'll ask them afterwards. Then we've got some opportunities around Saudi Food Show, which is coming up this autumn, and other opportunities. And then Jamal's going to finish by telling you about some other Pitch Lounge events and other things coming up. So in terms of our panelists this evening, we have, apart from Shahina, we have Mazen Kanan, co-founder and CEO of House of Pop, FMCG and brand building expert, champion of plant-based clean label frozen desserts. Great to have him back. He's already been on one of our webinars in the last couple of months. Then we have Rayan Fuad Azab, founder and chairman of Amina Group, co-founder of Timza, business counselor, strategic advisor to SMEs, healthcare investment and fintech strategist. So thank you to, I will go into a bit more detail about each of them as well. So Mazen, as mentioned, is the co-founder and CEO of House of Pops, a Dubai-based health and wellness frozen dessert brand offering 100% natural plant-based pops made from real fruit and clean label ingredients. He has over 15 years of FMCG experience. He previously held marketing and business development roles at Unilever and Tate & Lyle, where he led brand expansion and portfolio growth across the Middle East, Turkey, and Africa. Through House of Pops, he's on a mission to redefine indulgence with healthier, sustainable treats while scaling the brand across the Middle East and international markets. Mazen represents SMEs on the board of the UAE Food Cluster. And obviously he's on the call this evening because he's already selling House of Pops in Saudi. So thank you to Mazen for joining us. Next up, I'm going to talk about Rayan. He is a seasoned advisor and entrepreneur specializing in startup growth, cross-border expansion, and franchising strategies across the US and MENA region. His business journey was deeply shaped by his early pursuit to understand the world of food franchising, where exposure to Franzmart played a pivotal role in transforming his mindset from chasing opportunities to building scalable businesses. He later collaborated with Incubate in the US through a strategic partnership with Emitiaz, one of the leading franchising companies in the GCC, led by Essam Luta, supporting franchise growth, structuring, and market entry strategies. As founder and chairman of Amina Group and co-founder of Timza, he is known for his hands-on, execution-driven approach, helping startups turn vision into structured, fundable, and operational businesses. Today, as an investor in Kitchen Fund alongside Franzmart and its partners, Ryan brings a full-circle perspective from learning and advisory to investing. With a strong background spanning fintech, real estate, and experiential ventures, and having supported over $150 million in transaction, he guides founders from early-stage structuring to scalable expansion. So again, great to have you here, Rayan. Right. I've already mentioned Shahina, but I think they'll probably repaste her details in the chat for you. So you've got all the details about our panelists this evening. I'm now going to hand over to Shahina, who's going to share her details about market entry with her business, Abir and Aroma. So over to you, Shahina.
Thank you very much, Sasha. Firstly, just thank you both to yourself, Jamal, and the team. It's great to be holding this webinar. I know we've been trying to do it for a little while, so it's great to be here and great to be here with Mazan and Rayan as well to talk about this. So if we just kind of jump on, I know thank you very much for the great introduction to Abir and Aroma and myself. Just to recap, it is a Saudi-based company. I personally have been coming back and forth and, sorry, let me just check. Do I have control of the screen?
Okay, no, you can say next, but we can give you remote control if you need it, but continue. Yeah, say next is easiest.
Okay, thanks. So personally, I've been traveling back and forth to Saudi since October 23. I've done a number of trips, and then sort of early last year, I started working on Abir and Aroma, and sort of been here now on the ground since October last year as well. So as I said, it's a Saudi-based company. Our focus very much is on that market entry support services, ranging from market and through to sort of go-to-market plans and execution. Additionally, we've got the digital platform, and we've also doing looking at some key commodities for trading. One of the key things that we're very much focused on is actually being on the ground, providing that local knowledge as well as our local partner network as well. Hence why we're very much focused just on Saudi, and it's not a wider GCC sort of offering. And you'll understand this as I go through the details. Next, please. So to jump straight into about Saudi Arabia, I think it's one of the countries, it's on everybody's radar one way or another. As a result of Vision 2030, there's been a lot of media coverage on all the different aspects of Saudi Arabia. So as a whole, the country is very much fast growing, very dynamic, and it's moving very quickly. And in the food and beverage industry, this is actually, you can see that significant change that is taking place. Within months, you'll see things are moving on and there's something new happening. And alongside that, there's all of the other changes that are taking place. So infrastructure's developing, growing tourism, naturally businesses moving here, which is changing the dynamics of the population, changing the dynamics of the country as well. And not forgetting how strong of a base culture already exists here in Saudi as well, which actually influences and drives a lot of how the market works here. Next, please. So some of the key stats around Saudi Arabia, it comprises of 13 regions. It's actually the largest country in Middle East. There's 35 million, over 35 million population. And as you can see, majority Saudi nationals. And another key factor is 71% of the population is actually under the age of 35. So it's a very young population, which again drives how the market is and how the market's changing. The F&B market at this moment in time is valued at 38 billion and is expected to exceed over 50 billion in 2031, potentially even more than that, looking at how things are moving. And one of the other sort of key facts here is the fact that 18% of expenses goes on food. So not only is that food shopping, but even going out to eat and sort of general food consumption is quite high here. Next, please. Some of the changes that are taking place, which is a driving force and the reason why the opportunities are here. There is, as a result of all of the business changes and how it's opening up for international businesses, there is an increase in the expat population that's moving into the country, which is then creating that diversity of the population that's living here. There's a change in family life dynamics. So women coming into the workforce, I think it was about 6-7 years ago when they started coming into the workforce, and you're seeing more of that happening now. What this is doing is bringing a change to family life dynamics, which naturally then also changes what the market demands and what the market requirements are. There is a focus on improving nutrition, healthy eating and lifestyles as part of the Vision 2030 initiatives. And as you know, there's a huge drive for attracting tourism events and families as well, which is all leading to a rapidly expanding food industry across all of the segments within the sector as well. Next, please. So just want to highlight, and we'll go into a lot more of the details during the panel talks, especially with Mazen and Rayan to be providing their insights. But at a high level, these were some of the key things that keep coming up when I'm having my conversations about what you need to consider when you're coming into Saudi Arabia. I think the first one is it's not Dubai, because Dubai has got a lot of people, a lot of brands have been able to get into Dubai, and they seem to think we can use the same playbook to get into Saudi Arabia, based on what I've explained in regards to how large the country is, how the population split is, the way the culture is here. It's very, very different. So the same playbook doesn't work. The consumer behavior very much differs from the other GCC countries. And then within the fact that it's such a large country and the 13 regions, there's a huge diversity and variance between those as well. For example, you have over in Makkah side, you've got a Bin Dawood superstore, but you don't actually have that in Riyadh. So there's even things like that, not only the consumer behavior, but even what stores are available are not there, set up and open in all of the regions. The ecosystem is currently lacking. They do have an ecosystem, but it's very much still who you know. I think there's not a general ecosystem where you can just land and sort of be part of or go and connect with. And key is patience and relationships are still very much critical and still very much the main factor in building a base here and building a presence. Next, please. So actually, that's done from my side. So it was just a really quick insight and overview. I know we'll go into a lot more details. These are just my contact details. Just to reiterate what Sasha was saying, we obviously do consultancy, trade missions. I'll talk a little bit about Saudi food towards the end of it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Shahina. Right, over to our fireside chat now. So I'm going to pick on some of the questions or the points you raised there at a very high level, and we'll get some feedback from everybody else as well on the panel and their views on it too. So I suppose my first question is, what's the biggest misconception companies have when entering Saudi market? Ryan, would you like to go first on this one?
First of all, thank you for having me, and assalamu alaikum to everybody. I mean, there is misconception because it's like Shahina has explained, is basically people compare it similar to other GCC countries. The market differs so much. Regulation changes, if it's not a quarterly changes, but changes a lot. And the consumer behavior is completely different from what you would see normally in the other countries in the GCC. I think one of the most important thing is you are selling a lot of your products or brands and so forth to locals. So understanding the local market and the market habits and the need of the market is a key thing, because what could work in London or New York or in Dubai may not apply the same to Saudi Arabia.
Great, thank you. Mazen, have you got anything to add to this? I'm sure you've got a lot with your experience of entering the market.
Yeah, definitely. I think the misconception could be that if Dubai, there are around, I don't know, 5 million, 4 million living here, and then you go in Saudi, there are 30, 40 million, then you can do 6 times, 7 times, 8 times more. It's not that directly related, depending on what your product is and who you're targeting. So it's not like really you can just land there and make a lot of money. Also, I think the average income per person might be a bit lower than the perception that it's a rich country. It is rich on a GDP, but when you look maybe more on the Gini coefficient, some other metrics, it might not be like split equally across all. However, we have seen that the things are developing, the opportunity is there. It's just much trickier to convert. And also with all the development and the let's say how the country is trying to move very fast, still the way of doing business has some still traditional way of approaching it. Face to face is important. You need to go have coffee, sit, discuss. You will not have the meeting that like you come, you discuss for 10 minutes, and then you move. People would like to discuss, connect with you. So there is this coexistence of things moving fast, but also there is the traditional aspect. So those are at the top. There are other elements we can discuss it, but those are, I think, the top 2, 3 in my mind.
Great, thank you. Shaheen, have you got anything else to add? If not, I'll move on to my next question.
You can carry on, yeah. Nothing more to add at the moment.
Right, great, thank you. Right, so my next question, which builds on from that, is how important is it to have a physical presence in Saudi, or at least have on the ground partners? Like, how does it actually work? You know, getting your product listed or actually selling in Saudi, the best way to do it. Shahina, do you want to start this time?
Yeah, sure. I think as Mazen said, it's still actually very, very important. Even from my own personal experience, my first few trips, I came and spent 10 days to 2 weeks here. Sort of had really great conversations, left the country thinking, oh, this is brilliant, I'm making headway. I think by the time I even landed in the UK, it was sort of, I was forgotten about. I really struggled to keep that momentum going, to the point that when I was coming back, it felt like I was restarting. Whereas now I've been here on the ground since October, and it's just, even though I took a month away for Ramadan, coming back, I haven't felt like I'm starting from scratch again. So it is really important. I think it's very much still the way business is done here. There's an element of what I have noticed is there's a positive reaction when you're here and you're making the effort to be here, which is what they do like to see. And they're not wanting to just see people coming in and trying to grab hold of as much money as they can and then go off. So I think there's also that element of you're making the effort to be here.
Yeah, maybe Ryan, you can explain a bit more from your side of things.
I mean, she definitely hit it on the head. As a culture, we are very immune to understanding more about the businesses that come into, and Brother Mazen explained a little bit about the growth. With growth come changes. I think Saudi will ever be a culture-driven business environment. I have always supported the localism of things, but also I always told international companies which I work with every day is you don't have to have a physical presence, but you do have to have some kind of presence ongoing, if it's a JV or a partnership or a few trips a year. And it takes more to develop, because like she explained, Shahina, it's basically the culture is very about seeing and knowing that you are invested in the community. And when they say they're trying to make it Saudi, it doesn't make Saudi just for the Saudis. They're trying to make sure that the growth and the investment, because in the past, in the 80s and the 90s, a lot of companies, as she also mentioned, that came to grab the bag of money and moved on. Now the culture has changed completely, because they wanted people that wants to come and expand, be more serious of investing into the country, not just only collecting cash.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, totally makes sense. And Mazen, maybe you can explain your approach on how you've entered the market.
So I've decided to open myself initially. There is my business model helps me because we are able to sell, or we have part of our route to market is selling through kiosks, and this falls under the service license, and you can own it 100%. Now, do I think that is the optimal model to scale? I don't think so. I think you would still need someone who can open doors for you if you really want to go and win the market, etc. But why I decided like this, I wanted to prove the model first, so that my negotiation with my partner is not help me enter, is help me grow. I am here, things are working, so that gives an extra edge in terms of the deal discussion and the negotiation. So I found that's interesting, and it's very relevant what Ryan has mentioned, because it all reflects also on the structures of the licenses. Like if you want to open a trading, you need to put a deposit of 34 million dirham real or something around the 30 million in the bank deposit. And when people like they were telling me, I told them, I mean, if I have 34 million, I would exit the business. I would not enter into Saudi in my case. No, but jokes aside. But then if you want to open a factory, it's 0 dirham. Why the idea? So that someone doesn't get someone who's sitting in Spain who got an idea that, okay, you know what, this olive oil will work. He will send 5 containers, he will sell them, he will get all the profit using the scale without investing. So the entire structure is following this. We will support whoever is looking to committing to invest in the country, etc. Still, it is open for trading, but yeah, you need to pay the price for that. And I think on the make in Saudi, this is something that we are discussing a lot, because still we are shipping from UAE. I think beyond if it is made in Saudi or not, it should be relevant to the career question. I think is the relevance. How can your product be relevant? There is a unique like there is a culture there. There is a way of talking. There are local even in the dialect. Those are very important to address when you communicate, irrespective if you are made, where are you made. And of course, if you're made in Saudi, it's even better. We have plans to open a factory there in the short term or in the medium term. But what my advice is, make sure you are relevant first, and then second, if you can be manufactured in Saudi, it is an added value.
Yeah, thank you. Some really useful advice there. And I think that's one of the ones question I was actually going to ask further down the line actually was about how important is it to actually manufacture in the country. So I think I mean maybe Ryan or Shahina can answer that question a bit more. Like, you know, particularly if you're wanting to find investors in the country, I guess you've got to actually build a factory or something in the maybe Ryan can answer that question.
I mean, what Mazen said, there's one thing that MISA, which is the foreign investment entity that helps, basically it's like our free zone, but it's not a free zone. They have changed a little bit in the past 2 years, trying to make it more easier for investors to come in. So prior, when Mazen explained that it used to be you have to have X amount, depending on your business, of course. Now there's a little bit more lenience, but yeah, they do not want to have everybody to come in the market and just open a business and see how it goes. There is entrepreneurs license, there is the businessman license that probably have people explore, and then you could go to the next step. With Made in Saudi, I mean, this is a program that's been made from our crown prince and our king to basically help localize manufacture. Now, when it says made in Saudi, it doesn't mean it has to be 100% made in Saudi, right? There's programs that could make it basically could be collected in Saudi, could be a transfer of knowledge, and this is to highlight under that. The transfer of knowledge means you could do a JV with a manufacturer internationally, and some of it will be made in Saudi, and the other will still come from the mother country. But I think the push for that is because they're basically trying to get the private sector to connect with the different manufacturers and the F&B products that are coming into, and this goes across the board, health and everything else that in the business. So when it comes to Made in Saudi, I think the important is for you to find a program early. I preach this, I support this. I always tell people, listen, there is programs in the region everywhere, but if you want to do Saudi and go out of Saudi from Saudi, you need to start early. For example, if you're, as Brother Mazen is doing, he started in the UAE, and he has an amazing product that we all know here living in the region. And he was one of the first people that founded these things, right? And then the copycats came after it. But when that happened, he had already set the tone of why would the UAE born, because at that time UAE was pushing very hard to do a UAE base. Now, if you're a UAE based and then you have a made in Saudi, it doesn't hurt you. It's just you need to look at the programs. What's accessible for you? Are you just trying to do made in Saudi to get in the project or the support, or are you trying to distribute from Saudi outside to Africa? Those things matter. So make sure my advice would be when you're trying to get into the Made in Saudi program, make sure you know what. The good thing about Made in Saudi, there's a lot of connection with the private sector. Like there's investors lined up trying to work with the government, saying, okay, I'm interested to invest in this kind of projects if it come in. So if that's something that you're interested in, then they already kind of matchmake you. So this is the awesome thing about Made in Saudi. And this is what also the value add gets there. And I'll tell you, if anybody's trying to manufacture and go outside of Saudi to the region or to Africa, probably from the region, it's going to be something that they want to look at because the value add, the investment, and the support you're going to get for the government, I don't think you'll see a lot of it in the region like you would see right now in the Made in Saudi program.
Wow,
Maybe
that's
I'll
really
add one thing about on it as well. And also, if you look at the latest geopolitical situation, having a port on the Red Sea is a major advantage. So I think it's unfortunate what's happening, but people, as he mentioned, like looking for exports, can make them more flexible because they have the Khobar one and they have the Jeddah port, and there is a lot of investment I think going on in Jeddah port. So but I was not aware that they are becoming a bit more lenient on the trading, because that helps me, where I am stuck. Like I can sell, for example, in my shops, but if I want to sell to supermarkets, this becomes trading and it becomes a gray area because I cannot do trading. I can sell, but those are my products. If I have a distributor, although I have stocks, but he needs to buy from me from UAE. So it would be interesting to have a discussion to understand after how the system is evolving.
Of
Great,
course.
thank you for sharing that. That's really interesting. Shaheen, have you got anything else to add connected with investors or building manufacturing, or any knowledge on this that you've picked up?
Yeah, so I mean, the guys have said it anyway, the manufacturing, and actually it's an opportunity that I've been kind of talking about for a little while, that bringing that manufacturing into Saudi, it makes a lot of sense. I think as Mazen said, there's obviously needs to be an element of relevance. You've got to be sensible. It's not going to be a case of every product can come in, you can manufacture it here. But it's not only the fact that you've got this big push from the Crown Prince and from the government to do that in-country manufacturing, but as Ryan said, is you actually become the location of Saudi means you can reach the Far East, the Middle East, and Africa. So someone like myself, where working with companies out in the UK that are trying to export, one of the biggest challenges we always have is actually transport, especially when it comes to food products and frozen food products. It's costly, it's very challenging, and then all of the certifications and stuff if you're doing with meat products, whereas bringing all of that manufacturing within Saudi opens up a whole new market, a whole host of new markets, and with a lot more ease. So it's definitely something that I'm a big supporter of, and when it's relevant to companies and brands that I've spoken to, I've said, think of that as being as part of your strategic plan. So even if initially, like Mazen, you come in, bring your products in, but think about that mid to long-term strategy of doing manufacturing here in the country.
Great, that's really useful. Thank you. Right, I'm going to move on with some more questions and dig a bit deeper in some other areas. So what does a typical sales cycle look like in Saudi? I mean, maybe Mazen can answer that to begin with.
Sounds like you mean the sales cycle.
In terms of like how it is to deal with like getting listings and things like that. I mean, maybe as you said, you're not quite trading yet. Maybe this is something like Shahina or Rayan from their experience. Maybe you can better answer.
I can comment.
Okay.
I am doing online and
okay. Yeah.
So at least from my experience, and then of course Shahina might be more knowledgeable. So it is like any other country. There is absolutely nothing different. It's like you would need to have, again, depending on the license, you would need to, but mostly in 80% of the case, you need to find a distributor. and the distributor will negotiate with you his distribution margin. It can go anywhere from 20 to 40%, depending on what he covers. But let's say acceptable distributor margin might be 20, 25%. And then you need to take into account the retailer margin, and they can vary between 15 to 40%. And then they will buy from you, they will invoice. It's really regular, nothing different. Things take a bit more time there than in UAE, I think, from my experience. There is more scale, like it takes time, but then the average order value is bigger than here. And one thing very, I think, encouraging or a big growth opportunity are the quick commerce in Saudi. Retailer like Ninja, like Hunger Station, the grocery parts are growing really crazy, and I think they are going to be listed soon. Ninja at a 1.5 billion valuation or 2 billion. So they are really doing great. And those, by the way, you can go to them without a distributor because they can buy from you centrally. So they have a central warehouse in Riyadh, let's say, or Riyadh, Jeddah, and in the east, and you can afford shipping directly to them, and then you can save on the distributor margin. And this is really great because it opens a huge opportunity and channel for you without needing to have a middleman. You just need to do like the logistics through a third party. So that could be very interesting.
Oh, that's a good tip. Thank you for that one.
I think to add on to Mazen, to be honest with you, it became something that supported business massively. Likes of Talabat in the UAE, Jahiz, Ninja, and all these groups have literally taken the middleman out and have helped you being placed with products that maybe will take you a year or two for a consumer to understand and like, because the online marketing and we are a very tech savvy community. Mobile and ordering on a mobile is part of our daily. If it's not 1 or 2 times a day, it's probably more. It's a very common thing. And even with the difference of the annual income of a person, it's not outside of the norm to order 2 or 3 times a week for you to get something. Unlike, you would see something in Western countries, that's not something that you would do on a norm. It's a special thing. So for us, groceries, food, even if you need a set of batteries, that's something to look out for. Now, the cycle, if we look at it from far, it could be very fast or surprisingly long, depending what you are trying to achieve. Are you trying to have a test? Are you testing the market? You could probably move in within 3 months. If you're trying to do something for a longevity, it probably could take you about 12 months to just scratch that surface. If you're trying to go to grocery stores that like Danube and Panda, whatever, it will take you longer. But now they're looking at exactly what Mazen said. Because they used to be the ones that you're testing in, and they only have enough shelf space for you. But now the online groceries don't have that. They don't need that because they have warehouses upon warehouses. This is why Amazon has doubled down in Saudi, one of the biggest countries they have invested in to have distribution in Saudi Arabia. So this is something, and again, I support Mazen for saying that it was definitely a game changer in the last 5 years.
Great, thank you for that. And actually, I've got questions related to the retail side because that's all what I understand more anyway. Obviously, people like Spinneys have opened up in like Saudi now. If you already are listed in Spinneys here, is it easier to get the product there, or is it a totally different process? And what's the things like range reviews? Are they like here, or in the Western world? They might just do one category once a year or whatever. Is it the same sort of setup there? I don't know, Shaheen, can you answer that?
Go ahead.
It helps, but it is a different company. This, according to my understanding, it helps that you're there, isn't it, Rayyan?
Yes. I'll let Shaheen jump on this, and I'll start after you.
No, that's fine. I haven't got into that level of depth with Spinneys and Danube and stuff yet. So I'm happy to listen to you.
Thank you. So I do believe we have room for more the likes of Lulu and Spinneys and so forth. There is room, but the players have already made their move. And if you're not into Danube and Panda and the big boys that are local, it's gonna be a little bit tough to do the mass. Not saying that, you know, Lulu is probably growing very quickly in Saudi Arabia. Um, but if you're looking at Spinny, like it does help that you have your shelf here because the companies, as Madeline explained, it's probably two different companies, but it's already the processes and, you know, the onboarding process is similar. So it's a yes or no question. But if I was somebody that bringing a product, Spinneys and Lulu and the likes of those groups are probably not the ones I would go after. I would go to the colossal ones that's been and have in every single. And another thing is, it's not common in the UAE in Qatar, but we have something called Bakala, which is the small little stores in every single neighborhood. It's they have frozen section. That's where people walk up to if they're not ordering online. And those themselves, they have like a franchise model that has been around for years. So sometimes getting into those small bakalas or you know the neighborhood shop will probably get you the numbers that you're trying to get if you want to get into the likes of Spinneys and it's much easier to negotiate with those guys because putting you on their top shelf when they have a you know a smaller store, it's not a big problem for them. But when you have to go through the hoops of the Panda and the Danube, like it's gonna take you longer. So if it was up to me, and if I have a product I want to, the first thing I would look to is what Martin said is the online, like the likes of Ninjas and so forth. Second, it will be definitely the big boys. Third will be the Bakalas, and then the fourth will be the international Carrefours and Spinneys or whatever, because they're still fighting to get room into the market.
Just wanted to add actually with the bakalas. Actually, one of the things I personally noticed was even within the space of 3 to 4 months last year between my two visits, there's been this rapid rise of the smaller convenience stores, a brand called Trolley. I think it might be Kuwaiti or Bahrain, I can't remember. And they have popped up everywhere. So actually, not only did you have the traditional bakalas coming in, but you've got this new sort of smaller convenience stores coming up as well, which are kind of targeting mainly the metro stations or close enough and the petrol stations and things like that. So it's definitely, and I popped into one the other day at the local petrol station, and it had everything there that I would need for beyond even emergency, even for me to kind of get a decent grocery shopping. It had it all in. So it's definitely a route into the market.
Yeah,
Right.
just one more thing element about the nature of the trade there. So while on the e-commerce, yes, you can have a fast route to market. A couple of things to keep in mind. They are they don't they like you can get in fast, you can get out fast as well. If you are not moving, they will delist you. They have very high dynamic. They have also like they measure because their model is operating on very small dark stores that are spread. So they will put you there, but if you are not generating, they will just move you out. Speed is everything. They don't have enough space. So the rotation is high. And with them getting more power, someone needs to be able to accept very long payment terms. So they might pay you after, they will put on the table 120 days, then they can enforce 90, you need to negotiate 60. These days might come as a good deal, 60 days. So you need to have the ability to absorb those payment cycle. They are also highly demanding when it comes to advertising. So the way their P&L work, they are very competitive on prices. So they would not do much on the front margin, which means like if you sell an item to them at 10, they will sell it at 12. This 2 dirhams or reals as the front margin. They just don't they reduce it to a maximum, and they rely on two things: on the back margin, because they will tell you whatever I buy from you, you as per the contracts need to pay me 20%, all right, in return of some things. But then on top of that, they push you to give them promotion, discounts, renting visibility on the app, and those prices can go crazy. Like a banner for 1 week might cost you up to 50,000 riyals. So it is not for the you need deep pockets to be able to win the war there. So it is kind of yes, you can have good access. Then you need to start asking your question: should I pay 50,000 on a banner, or should I pay 15,000 on influencers outside that would direct the thing? And this is where we start saying that yes, the opportunity is huge. You can have quick access to the market, but it is tricky. You need to know where to play it, because you can burn your cash on inefficiency. It's not easy. And for you to be able to differentiate, especially for a startup in the middle of deep pockets players, you would need to be very sharp. The brand needs to support. You need to know how to do the marketing well. I mean, we can talk a lot about it, but those are a bit of the things that you need to keep in mind as well.
Great, thank you for highlighting that. That's true. Actually, I might as well come on to my next question, which was a bit about marketing and social media. So maybe Shahina can start with this one. So what's the role of social media and the importance of it, or even like what are the main marketing tools, particularly like for startup brands or people just entering the market? What would you recommend?
Social media is an absolute must, especially Snapchat. To the point of, if you've never used Snapchat, you'll have to use it when you come. Yeah, social media, like I said, it's very key. But the one thing is actually, again, the quality of the media that's here and what's being shared is also very good. So, again, in the UK, you can be scrappy and you can kind of still make headway on online, but there does need to be effort made to create really good content. The public opinion, genuinely, everywhere I go, everywhere that's on my list to go and visit, I found from TikTok. That's where I've created my list of places to go and visit, eat, and try food items to try. So it's an absolute must. I think also, just on that side, I was just jotting down, the other thing I forgot to mention is branding and packaging is also very key here as well. It's everything, to the simplest of biscuits, is packaged in a very well sort of manner as well. So that's another key element of what you need to consider here. So yeah, in short, if you're not on social media, you need to be on social media.
And to add on to that, 63% of the population under 30 in Saudi Arabia. This is a big key driver. And women now are taking over when it comes to the segmentation of the market. Now, male to women, when it comes to ratio, male is definitely a more dominant when it comes to the demographic. The woman is a big driving power. So with a buying power. So when you do those things, depending on your product, you need to put that. And like Shahina said, it's very important to understand that social media is everything. I mean, to a point that you do see now them doing local celebrities and international celebrities to kind of outbuy themselves, right? So this is something that you cannot go around. And there's a budget for every product. So I don't want somebody to be discouraged and say, well, I don't have $1 million to drop on a online celebrity. Well, you don't have to. You could have deals that do that. You need to find out who your segment, who's popular in that segment. And she mentioned Snapchat. Me, myself, I mean, I'm 43 years old. I had a Snapchat account, but I had to be on it now to see and understand the market, because Snapchat is a key driver. Then comes Instagram, then comes TikTok, right? So some countries, Instagram is the key figure for it, not in Saudi Arabia. And like I said, the age difference is big. So when it comes to the 63%, that's what you're looking at, and it keeps getting younger. So what you're looking for and what you're trying to package and how the way you're implementing is the very key. So marketing is everything.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point. And I think that's something that I realized when I first went to Saudi for the first time, is that Snapchat is the biggest social media platform there, which is not like most of the rest of the countries. It's not the same in UAE, it's not the same in the UK, it's not the same in a lot of other countries around the world. So I think, and I remember when we were working with Saudi Food Show, all of their social media was going through Snapchat. They had, and you need specific type, because if you've not used it, you have to go and have a look at this platform, but it's a specific type of format you have to use for that. It's not the same as Instagram or TikTok. So yeah, thank you for that. Right, my other questions, because I'm conscious we haven't got lots of time yet, because I want to leave time for questions from the audience. So we talked about like how to enter the market and things like that, and like what the best way to do it. What about in terms of opportunities? Where do you see currently biggest opportunities in what sort of categories, sectors within the food and beverage space? Anything that's really stood out to you? Maybe Shahina, you want to start first?
Yeah, I think there seems to be one of the segments I'm personally looking into as well is the drinks segment, and that's across the board of non-alcoholic as well as just your general drinks. I would most probably say international snacks, just with the rise of the expat community here and that growing. I can see that demand also coming in as well, where people are looking for more of their home or not their local, but more of their back home items to be available here, whether that's through snacking or ingredients. So that's where I currently see the two. There is on the health side, because I've been approached a few times around the health side as well. I think from a health side, it's there, but it's still a bit of a slow burner, I think. I think it's still very limited niche market on that side. So if you are looking at that particular area, I would say, yes, come in, but expect it to take a little bit longer.
Okay, that's really interesting. Thank you. Ryan, have you got anything else to add that from what you see?
I think yes, the healthy concepts are in the rise. People are becoming more healthy conscious, and the government is pushing so much through its social media. If you go to all the malls, they're trying to make you aware of what it means to be healthy and eating healthy, because we are one of the highest diabetes count in the region. So that's a big push. And so if you have a health product that you think could make a difference, is something to put into Saudi. Specialty coffee, with coffee craze. This is something very important, something that if there is an existence in your business, you want to expand it, it's something to look into. And premium fast casual. That's becoming now something that people really like. It used to be all about sitting down and having those long hours of meals, which still exists. But with the generational change and with the world we live in, a lot of people want to grab and go. So this is something to look at. However you master it is the key. And I think Mazen could add on to this, because his product is in the health and it's a grab and go. So I'll let him kind of lead into this. How did that, and why Saudi was something for him to get into, because he did touch up on two different points through his product.
Yeah, no, Mazen.
The 100%. So definitely we see from a category perspective, the UAE having more, let's say, potential, giving more potential for health and wellness. And we were aware and we were warned by people like Europe, Saudi is going to be different. And it is different. Let's say on average, the willingness to spend a premium on health and wellness, we see it in Dubai much higher. However, I depending on what you want to do, if you want to make $1 million in the coming 6 months, then yeah, I would not have launched. But if you are building a brand, and I love that I have the opportunity to establish myself when there is no one else talking about it. And by the time things happen, I would have been established, my route to market, my reach, etc. So my bet is that I will get the biggest share of that. Now, that doesn't mean that, so at least I've talked about my own product. So while we are a healthy product, but we are not something like that tastes bad. Like you don't need to do a compromise. You can still enjoy a very nice mango, irrespective. So the key is that how can the way we present our product and where we are present is the main driver of the sales, more than the health credentials. So I'll give an example. We opened 4 locations, one in Esplanade, in Riyadh, one in Boulevard City, and they were doing okay. But then Boulevard Flowers opened, where it's similar to the Miracle Garden, and there was a queue. There was a queue, like you would not imagine what's happening there. So what's different? The product is still the same, all right, and those people might not be more health oriented than the others, but the occasion, the location, is driving the offtake. So yes, health and wellness is on the growth side. I think a pure health and wellness brand might not generate as much as someone would expect compared to Dubai. So you need to have also, like, taste is king, you know. So you need to still deliver something beyond the health and wellness to do well. However, I think it is a great timing to launch something healthy there because it is on the rise. And this is where we go back to the marketing. How can you associate yourself in the health and wellness sector, being in the gyms, being in healthy cafes, going after health and wellness from a functional perspective? We are working on launching additional functional products, like with protein, with fibers. So those things can really relate to a growing trend. It is complicated, but again, if it was easy, everyone would do it. We see always challenges as stronger barriers to entry, and because we believe we are good at our game, we believe that we will have a higher chance to succeed. But yeah, it is challenging.
Right, thank you. Right, just a couple of other areas before we get into questions from the. So just because it's always one of these things we have to cover. In terms of entering the market, in terms of like regulations and things, as I understand it, it's the same because it's part of the GCC. It's the same rules. So if you've already got a product in the UAE, the regulatory side of things, like the label requirements and all that sort of thing, is the same. Or is there anything that's slightly different? Maybe Rayan, you're nodding your head there. Maybe you can just highlight any differences or what people need to be aware of, or if there's any different processes or systems.
Of course, the UAE is more lenient when it comes with non-Sharia compliant and halal products. This is a huge no-no in Saudi Arabia. So, and the strict of products within your recipes within your product. I'll give you an example. When we worked with 5 guys entering the UAE and then helped them go to Saudi, I was part of the team at that time in a young age. We had a problem to get the same meat that we were supposed to, because the Saudi regulators kept rejecting the meat that we brought. So we had to have a particular meat to come into Saudi. And then that shifted the meat that became the same as all over the GCC. So yes or no, is the answer. All depends on what products are you bringing. If you are connected to the FDA or anything that has to do with FDA regulations from your country, depending where you're coming from, that's gonna lenient stuff for you. So I would say look into these things prior to just coming and testing the market. Make sure you have on your team somebody that understand what those products mean, because the worst thing you could do is get a pop-up, get the product and test it, which you could get a license for testing, or through other, many other ways. But when you try to launch, then you have those hurdles that say, well, yeah, that particular thing that you're using in your food was not accepted in Saudi. Now you have to change the entire manufacturing line. So it is yes or no question, but I would always do my due diligence in a big way, and halal and Sharia compliant is non-negotiable.
Right, thank you for that. Anything else you want to add to that, Shahina?
I think just Rayan, I think touched on it very briefly earlier on in the call. Also, the regulations are changing. It's not like they're not becoming more relaxed, but they're kind of putting in more checks, and they're putting in more sort of systems and processes and things like that as well. So that's just another thing to keep in mind, that even if you know what it is today, in 3 months' time, it's possibly that it'll be a slightly different process, or there'll be additional paperwork or something like that as well. So it's just another thing to keep in mind, and it kind of ties back into the ecosystem is still building. It's not there at the moment, which means all of these processes and everything are still settling.
Anything else to add on that, Mazen, just from your experience? No. Right, I've got one more question.
Like we took the it took us some time to get established, but there is like some process about some security checks, etc. But then once we started, things like now registering with the FDA is extremely fast. Like initially you might struggle, but like now, like in 2 days, you do something. The things that I noticed, like regulation always change for the better, but then sometimes like you need to always stay up to date. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And you need to go and visit and talk. This helps a lot. If you send an email, call, it's you need to go say hi, how are you, guys, and like really things there needs to be done. That's why I think Ryan mentioned it's important for you to visit, etc. And from previous like experience, if you have people on the ground, like for us, we have put a very senior person, Michel, he's based there, and it makes a huge difference. And without it, it will be very difficult to move fast.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you. Yeah, so my last question, just before is, we were talking earlier on about the different regions and how like big Saudis and things. So if you're going to do like a test market, like are there certain regions you'd go in depending on your target audience, or how would you approach this? Because I assume like the Jeddah region is very different to like Riyadh or whatever, like based on this information. Like, so maybe you can just share a bit more about that. So people who might want to just do a test, like how would you go about that? Which area would you pick to go to first? I don't know, Shahina, could you start with that one maybe?
Yeah, it'll really come down to your product, I think, and where it would be best fit, because even this climate's different, the consumer behavior is different, the culture is different. So all of those really play a big factor. And even if you look at something like the Dammam, where you've got Aramco, so you're naturally going to have a very strong, and I visited myself, there's a very strong American influence there. So it really is going to come down to your product and then evaluating where it fits best. Hence why having that local partner or having that local knowledge becomes really helpful, because I mean, I've still got quite a few regions to go and visit, and I've been here 6 months, and I'm sure as locals like Rayan as well can tell you that it takes a while to get around and really get into depth for each of the regions. So my view would be very much evaluating it product by product. But Riyadh is naturally the first stop because it is the largest, it's the most, it's the business center, it's obviously got the most visitors and all of that as well. So naturally it's going to be the first place you'd consider.
Okay, thank you. Rayan, maybe you can add to this then.
Yes, I mean, I'm from the Western region, so I'm definitely going to support the Western region. But to be honest with you, Jeddah has an intro to the Western region, not because of where my bloodline is from, but it's because you hitting up Taif, Makkah, and Medina. They are followers with trends when it comes to Jeddah. So when you're looking into Jeddah, you're actually looking at 4 different cities, major cities, that is, right? Now, Riyadh is the metropolitan, is the hip area, is the trendsetter. So when you do hit that, also you could get a kind of a feel of the entire country, but it's just the per capita, the spending is very very different when it comes between Jeddah and Riyadh. But if you ask me first, if you want to test small, you definitely would go to Jeddah. If you want to have a product that that's meant for the city driven, the fast life, and that's something to be adopted quickly, I would do Riyadh first as market entry. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that.
Great, thank you, thank you. Mazen, anything else to add based on like what you're doing, or anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I agree on whatever they have mentioned. I think Riyadh still is like the hub, but depending on the product, like for example, ice cream would work perfectly on all the nice beaches of the Red Sea. So that is definitely a big potential. So the product can also dictate. But what I would recommend is that, irrespective if you are testing, and especially that we are talking to mostly SMEs, we used to have this concept when I used to work with Unilever called saturate the citadel. Like go into one place and really try to be everywhere there. But because in Saudi, it can be extremely expensive to have one shop in Jeddah and one shop in Riyadh. Like you would spend all your profit commuting, and you need to get people there. And it's so go into one location and then saturate it. Even if the test goes well, just try to really be everywhere, and this will give you enough scale to optimize your cost, because also like logistics costs are much more expensive than in Dubai. Even in Dubai, in UAE, for House of Pops, we have saturated Dubai a lot before even moving to Abu Dhabi. Like 70-80% of our revenues come still from Dubai. So compare this to Jeddah, Khobar, or Riyadh, they are even more challenging. So choose like carefully where you want to go there. Make sure you fill every corner, whatever you can, and then you can move to another.
Thank you. That's very good advice. Right. I think in the interest of time, we're going to move on to questions on the others. We've had quite a few already, I think. So I may not be able to answer the whole of this one because it's quite a long question from Ravi here, but I'll probably just pick the highlight points, and maybe if he's got further questions, he can maybe connect with some of you afterwards, whoever's relevant. So he's got, what is the most effective and lowest risk market entry strategy for Saudi to scale air to water generation distribution quickly while protecting our brand pricing and after sales standards? Should we prioritize appointing exclusive national or regional distributors, building a multi-distributor channel model, creating a joint venture with a strong Saudi partner, or establishing our own local entity supported by strategic partners? That's quite a lot to answer there, but I don't know.
One
Maybe
question.
Rayan?
One question. This is a webinar. I can share my view. I mean, we touched. I think if he was listening, we touched upon it in different parts. I could not really remember everything he is asking for, but what I remember is that the fastest way, I think, if we are talking about food, would be the e-commerce. That's for sure. You don't need a partner. You don't need a middleman. You don't need much of logistics. You will not need to pay, I think, even listing fees. So that would be the fastest one. The other part of the question, maybe other people can answer, or I don't know if yeah.
And for my thoughts, because that's why I have a business. I'm very keen on JVs and having local infrastructure. It's sometimes it's cheaper for you to kind of test it. Relevant to what Mr. Mazen said, he's right. It depends on your budgets, your understanding of the market, your high in risk, how entrepreneur crazy you are. And I think Mazen seems like he's a crazy person to come jump up and come in by himself. So it all depends on that and the project that you have. And our business is all about, helping companies coming and setting up shop themselves or finding the JVs. I say JVs not because I'm selling Saudi. I say because you are already collaborating with a person that has that foot in the market. But that also could be something that backfires because the negotiations could be very tough. It could be unfair deal, especially when your project is something really big. Like if you are in the UK and you're dominated, and then you come to the JV, they're gonna try to push exclusivity, exclusivity, exclusivity. So negotiate well, have somebody to be that middle person for you. If it's not a lawyer, it's a local. If it's not a local, somebody in your team that knows how to negotiate. But yeah, for me, I would look at it as always a JV model because it kind of skips the assessment of a market, and maybe you do come in and come out real quick.
Thank you. Shaheen, have you any thoughts yourself, or if not?
Not too far off from Rayan saying, I think it is about, I'm just looking through his question actually, but yeah, potentially looking at finding that local partner or that distributor to help you get into the market. I'm not too sure what the product is, but from what I'm kind of reading here, it looks like it's something that's going to need a little bit more localization, but something that's going to take somebody on the ground really selling it and marketing what it is.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think it's best if Ravi's got more questions, he maybe connects with you guys directly, because that's quite a big question to answer. I'm going to go down the chat and see what others. We've got one here from Divesh. So discounters are growing at a significant pace in Saudi, and I've noticed the brands are completely different. They're imported at lower prices. How are they able to do that? Is the government doing anything, since a lot of the local manufacturers are struggling to compete with these brands? Rayan, I don't know, do you know anything about this?
Can you say that question again so I understand?
Yeah, so it was the statement was discounters are growing at a significant pace in Saudi, I've noticed that the brands are completely different. They're imported at lower prices. How are they able to do that? Is the government doing anything since a lot of the local manufacturers are struggling to compete with these brands?
I mean, yes and no, because discounted price comes a lot of market entry that happens all over the world. It's not just in Saudi. With a lot of
Mhm.
brands coming into a new market, they're trying to push over the local brand. And I'll just give you a small story from my world of franchising. KFC story into the market with Al Baik. KFC tried to do everything it can to compete with Al Baik, which is the KFC is a global brand. It came to Saudi, try to do discounts, try to localize its chicken. And now, if you see in KFC, it says chicken is Saudi made, but it's still couldn't grasp and compete with the local brand. So it's kind of irrespective to this question. It all depends. So when they do discounts, a lot of these brands are coming in and they're trying to push their way through. But is it sustainable? I don't know. I think when you come in and you want to do that discount thing, that could only be beneficial for a while to capture some of your market. But then after that, that's not sustainable. Now, the second part of the question about what is the government doing? The government do help a lot with the Saudi local companies, right? It doesn't mean Saudi local, meaning companies within Saudi. They have programs, they have escalators that help them. They have competitions that kind of fund the startups. So they're doing everything they can, but it's always going to be your strategy and how you want to be in the market. I wouldn't go as a discounted product just to enter the market. Maybe I'll have promotion on national days and stuff like that. But it's to do our ongoing discounted product. I don't think that's a great idea. If I understood the question.
Mhm. Shahina, anything else to add to that? I don't know if you found
Yes.
the question in the chat.
Yeah, I found it now. So I think I'm thinking because there's a lot of discount stores that exist here in Saudi, and so if you look at the products that are in there, I think it's more about the country that they're manufactured in. So I guess there's an element where Rayhan's saying that obviously brand owners are providing heavy discounts, but I think there's also the discounted shops or the discounters are buying products from different countries of manufacturing. Again, depending on where the person is based. Like again, if I look back at the UK, we do generally, or even in Dubai, a lot of that's still coming from the West. Whereas here, I found there's a lot of products are being manufactured either in Turkey or the Far East, and then they're coming in. So naturally, they are cheaper. And I think that's where you're also seeing that they're getting their products from, and they're seeing that price difference.
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, someone just said in the chat they've heard that Viva are looking to open 100 stores over the next 3 years in Saudi. So from Graham, thank you. Oh, yes, so Divesh says, yes, he's referring to discount stores. Anyone else got a question in the audience? If not, we'll go on to our next bit. Anyone else quickly? Question? You can either write it in the chat or come on and ask the question. No? Right, then yeah, thank you for our panel, and we'll move on to the last part then. So I'm now going to just talk about the Saudi Food Show. So back, as I mentioned at the beginning, back in 2024, Jamal and I were asked by Dubai World Trade Center, Modon Saudi, and Homegrown Ventures to run the startup program at the Saudi Food Show. We organised 3 panel discussions, as you can see on screen. I was moderating one, and I had Mazen in the audience, sorry, on the panel as well, talking about food and beverage startup scaling. In addition to us producing a further 2 workshops, and Jamal ran one on investor pitching, also designed and ran a founder investor networking area with, ahead of its time, 2 AI-powered pitching consoles designed and run by the Foodpreneurs collective Pitchlands team. When we were there, we saw opportunities for overseas brands to enter this market and highly encourage international startups and other companies to visit Saudi, exhibit, and/or actively attend the Saudi Food Show. So I'm now going to head back to Shahina, who's going to just talk about the up-and-coming Saudi Food Show this autumn.
Yeah, sure. So I think, as Sasha said, I think it's now in possibly coming into the 5th year. So this might be the 5th edition. It's either the 4th or 5th edition of Saudi Food, and it has immensely grown in the last couple of years. I attended a couple of other food trade shows or food related trade shows, and I've got to say Saudi Food is still most probably the biggest and the key trade show of the year in the country. And even speaking to some exhibitors, it's one where they themselves said we did get a lot of local buyers coming through. So if it is something, if Saudi Arabia is on your radar, it's definitely one to consider, even exhibiting or exploring. We at Abeer and Aroma, we put together a couple of packages. If you're interested in exhibiting, or if you're interested in coming and exploring the market at the same time, we've got a couple of packages available. I think Jamal's going to share a link where you can register your interest, and we can have a follow-up call. And then I know Sasha, myself, and Jamal are in conversations to hopefully have some sort of a networking event during the days of the event as well. So just wanted to share that. And yeah, please drop a note, fill in the expression of interest form, or just connect with myself and I can share more details about it.
Great, yeah, thank you. I think we've just shared that in the chat now. So thank you for that, Sheena. And if anyone wants got any questions generally about the show, because Shaheen has been, Mazen's been, because I've obviously had him there. Both Jamal and I have been, so we can answer any questions if anyone's got questions about how it works and what it's like. I just want to do a final event recap. So big thank you to our panelists this evening. So Mazen Kanan, co-founder and CEO of House of Pops, Rayan Fawad Azab, founder and chairman of MENA Group, and then Shahina Rasool, co-founder of Abeer and Aroma. So thank you so much. And obviously Shahina was co-hosting with us this evening. I'd also like to thank all the event partners. So that's Foodpreneurs Collective, Pitch Lounge, Food Hack Dubai, Mirage AI, House of Pops, MENA Group, and Abeer and Aroma. And then now I'm going to pass over to Jamal, who's going to talk about some of our up and coming events.
Yeah, thank you, Sasha. Am I audible? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for staying on to the end. It's a really engaging and insightful webinar. We've just got a few events coming up. I'm just going to go through each of those. They've also been pasted in the chat as well. You have a LinkedIn event for each of them. So this enables you to do some advanced networking and to find out who's getting interested. Also, some more information is there. And always a link to our website as well, where you can register to observe, but also secure a pitch package if you're looking for some investor pitch practice or some pitch coaching, and also to get in front of investors. This is our next event. It's happening on next Thursday. It's in 9 days' time, Thursday, the 21st of May. We've been running this event series now for 2.5 years. It's the younger sibling of the Foodpreneurs Collective Pitch Lounge event series, which I've run with Sasha for over 4 years. It's a wonderful group of people, both angel investors such as Emil Ward, who's invested in 6 drink startups in the UK, and he only focuses on drinks startup investments. Maria Harding, who's an excellent drinks export growth specialist, particularly very good at helping UK drink startups export to the world, but also other drinks companies all around the world to enter the UK and European markets. Niraj Singh is based in the US, in California, but works between London, California, and India, supporting not just the drinks market, but also wider CPG and health startups. And Elena Succi, who's really into climate, agri-food, biotech, is an angel investor in her own right, and also a valuation specialist. It's a really wonderful team. We're also going to have a further 2 or 3 panelists as well from the investment and coaching space, and particularly linked to the drink sector. So if you've got a drinks startup, notice it's healthy drinks. So we're not talking alcohol here. We're talking non-alcoholic drinks only, and also a range of other drinks. And it's a global event, so it's not a geographically linked event to Saudi Arabia, the MENA region. It's actually anyone who's based anywhere looking to export or grow and get investment anywhere is welcome to join us. So please, if you're interested, please reach out. If you're a founder or know of a founder that might be relevant, then they can actually apply via our website and get some pitch deck feedback, and to check whether this event is suitable for them. It's pitchlounge.net. foodpreneurs.net/startups for that application. And this particular event that we just had on screen, the Foodpreneurs Collective Pitch Lounge, I'm again pasting that link in the chat. And that's the link to the LinkedIn event page for that same event. And that will take you straight through to our website as well. Next, please. We do have two different types of event at Pitch Lounge. And this event here on screen is the Beverage Pitch Lounge on Wednesday, the 27th of May, 2026. Now, the difference between this event and the one next week is that a bit like the webinar today, we live stream an event at least at the end of the month. And so obviously there's slightly less room for error if you're a pitching startup and hasn't got the most polished pitch. So these live streamed events are about 3-4 times bigger. We have up to about 130 people joining the Zoom call of the 2.5 hours. We have a post-event networking in breakout rooms, and as I said, the event is live streamed across YouTube, LinkedIn, and elsewhere, and is available on demand forever. So if you're interested in that, a lot more investment exposure, and often really well partnered with some great funds such as InvestBev in the US and others, and lots of ex-Diageo and other panelists involved, then please reach out or apply at the same link, pitchlounge.net/startups. And the link to that event is also now being repasted into the chat. You can join us there. That one is open, I will admit, to alcohol startups as well. Next, please. We've got a slightly postponed event, which is it's a really growing investment area. As everyone might be aware, health and longevity, so food as medicine, and other aspects of that very growing investment theme right now will be covered in this edition. So anything in the health and longevity space that has a food dimension is going to be covered in this group feedback guidance session that will be co-produced with Sasha. Sasha will be moderating again on Thursday, the 11th of June. And that will be alongside a few other people who are different to our drinks community. So I'm just pasting that into the chat again. That particular event, if you're really interested in that particular industry, health and wellness and longevity, then please join us for that. It'd be great to have you back. And next, please. Yeah, so there's various ways to engage with Pitch Lounge. Well, not just Pitch Lounge, but also the Foodpreneurs Collective Pitch Lounge. You can, as I said, you can apply to pitch with us, which I've already put that link before, but you can also, and there's 3 more coming up in a second. Next, please. Yeah, big thanks to our support team. If you know a young person or also yourself, a freelancer, and want to support what we're doing in Pitch Lounge, we're happy to receive your application, so you can apply by our website. Yeah, and there's various ways, as we said before, to network with us and to join our various social media groups. We're very active on LinkedIn. If you ever tag us or you have some news and update about your business, as many of the people who are in this chat and on panel will know, we are very happy to repost and amplify your positive news or your request for help. Just reach out to us and we can help there with a simple repost or just a very simple introduction to an expert who we feel can solve your issue. Pitch Lounge we also have a regular newsletter with about 23,000 people now subscribed to that. It goes out every week or at least once a fortnight, and you can join that mailing list and check the back catalog at pitchlounge.net/newsletter. We did speak earlier about one of our important partner communities, which is the iGrow community. We now organize a regular AgTech Pitch Lounge with them. We're just pasting the links to the option to join their community to receive their fantastic industry intelligence news and a really interactive dashboard that maps both their research that they're doing, but also global investments and innovation in AgTech. It's a really fantastic tool. We're also on that community ourselves. And I'm just pasting those links in the chat now. And if you have your own community and want to be showcased on our website, we'd love to do some cross marketing and to feature you on there. So please reach out to us. Always happy to have that conversation. If you want to be a panelist as well, we'll always be at about, I think we had over 100, 120 panelists last year across our 40 or so events. You can apply via our website at pitchlounge.net/panelists. It's not just angel investors or fund managers or import expert expansion experts. We're also open to pitch coaches, communication specialists, and more. So reach out to us and we can see whether there's a suitable event coming up this year that we can host you on. This event series actually isn't sponsored. Today's event was not. It was the 5th event in the series. If we're going to continue doing them, it'd be great to get a sponsor. That would be very helpful. At the moment, we've been encouraged by a handful of people donating each time. Anything between like 5 or 7, 8 people have donated each time. Just anything between like 5 euros and 20 euros. That's been really helpful because it enables me to make sure I can pay the interns and back-end team that we have supporting us make these events happen. So that'd be appreciated. The links are just in the chat for that. And if you want us to help you with one of your events, we've got a lot of experience, as you might have heard earlier, with expo programming on stage, with running in-person meetups and networking events in various cities from Dubai, London, Berlin, and elsewhere. And we also, obviously, we can run a webinar. So if you want help running a webinar and getting some exposure for your brand, or maybe some kind of demo event that you want, and you feel like the online medium could be useful for you, then reach out to us and we can have that conversation. We put a few links in the chat, some of our expo work we've done, also the webinars we've just had, and also a brochure on how you can hire Sasha and I for different meetup event bespoke work. Yeah, we're always open to sponsors for our community more generally, and the events that we do. And we also have like newsletter features that you can also we can have you in the newsletter. If you're one of our regular panelists, we're always happy to include you anyway. Yeah, I think that brings us to an end. Next. Yeah, we've already covered that. Sorry, I went a bit faster than I should have done. Yep. So if you want any help with your event, let us know. That brings us to the end of the event. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you again to our panelists, Rehan, Mazan, Kahina, and also Sasha for your wonderful moderation. And look forward to having you back. Let's look after each other. Let's hope for a peaceful resolution to regional issues, and look forward to hearing about more businesses in our network expanding to the KSA and more of our KSA network engaging with us and them. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.